everybody, welcome back to Callista Quarantine Kitchen. Please remember, always cook with an adult. Tonight we're going to cook red lentil dal. This is a really easy and really delicious dish that we eat often. It's completely vegan if you make it with veggie stock. I look like I'm making it with chicken stock tonight, but I'm actually using mussel, so there's no animal product. This is such a delicious thing to eat on a cold night, and I'm actually going to make a double batch because I like to have it for lunch for several days after we've eaten it. So first I'm going to weigh and wash our lentils. Normally 400. Tonight I'm going to use 800, but 400 will give you enough for probably 6 people. But as we're 6 people, 400 doesn't give us any leftovers, so I'm making extra. So I'm going to go and wash that. I'm actually going to put the water in and mix it around. A lot of starch will come out of the peas or the lentils, and then I'm going to tip it out and wash it again until there's no starch coming out of the peas anymore. You can see that I am washing the lentils, and you can see the amount of cloudiness that is coming out in the water. So that's the first wash. Then I'm going to tip it into a colander. I don't have to be too fussy because I'm going to wash it probably 3 or 4 times. So I'm going to continue washing this until it washes clean. So I will come back when it's not got any more stuff in it. This is looking clear enough, so I'm going to drain it one last time. This time I'm going to try and drain all of it without losing too much. And then I'm going to pop that on there to drain and put it aside for when we need it. Next thing we're going to do is prepare our onion, garlic and ginger. So garlic and ginger are really important in Indian cooking, South Asian cooking. Because I have doubled the recipe, I've actually already crushed some of the garlic and chopped an onion already. So I'll just do a quick onion and remind you guys that chopping the onion like this is the best way to not cry when you're chopping an onion. Oh. Peel the skin back. And because this is actually going to cook for a long time, you don't need to be too careful with the chopping. I mean, be careful, don't cut yourself with a knife, but it doesn't need to be too precise. And those fumes don't really escape when you have the onion like that, which is good. So I'm going to put the onion into this bowl with the other onion and the garlic. Then I'm I'm going to do another 3 cloves of garlic. So with the garlic, I top and tail while trying to peel the skin off. So a lot of the skin comes off when you chop it like that. And then you can just peel the rest off, which shouldn't be too fiddly. Now I have a garlic crusher. If you don't have a garlic crusher, that's okay. You can just chop it. It doesn't have to be too fine. It can be a little bit chunky. So this recipe is about 3,000 years old. The first time dal was mentioned in Indian history was in the Mahabharata, which is one of the religious stories from a long, long time ago. So people in India have been eating this for a very, very long time, and it's definitely a staple in that country. They make it with all different types of lentils and peas and other split pulses. The pulses don't actually need to be soaked, which is one of the joys of making dal. You don't have to soak everything overnight. Alright, so I'm just pushing it through my garlic crusher. And this particular recipe is made with split red lentils. So they are the fastest cooking, and I really love the flavour of these ones. So that's our garlic done. Next is the ginger. So with the ginger, just roughly peel it. I don't think you need to be too fussy about it. I don't mind a few bits and pieces here and there of skin. Just make sure you get a majority of it off. But if there's a few bits and pieces in the crevices, don't stress. Oh, it smells absolutely delicious. And now I'm going to grate the ginger just on a microplane. If you don't have a microplane, any type of grater is fine, but you'd probably want to use a smaller hole. Just gives you a bit of a finer grate. So dal can be eaten with rice, which we are going to do tonight. We have some brown basmati rice cooking in the rice cooker. I also really like to have mine with papadams. You could have chapati or naan, and it's incredibly good for you. So it's very high in protein and fibre. It's very low in fat, and it's high in vitamin D and folate. So good for you, delicious, really cheap to make, really easy. That's a big piece of ginger. And I think that will be good. Alright, so now we're going to start cooking it. So if you would like to join me over at the stove, I will meet you over there. I have a large pot on the stove heating up on a high heat. I'm going to add some rice bran oil. Not too much, just enough to coat the bottom.
Okay.
Now I'm adding the ginger, garlic and onion to the pan. And I'm going to fry this off until it becomes slightly translucent. It smells incredible. The ginger is very pungent. While the onions are frying, you can grab your spices that you're going to use. Tonight we're using turmeric and crushed chili. If you don't like spicy, cut right back on the chili because it is quite a spicy dish. I'm going to put 2 fairly decent teaspoons of chili in, but if you like something that just has a nice flavour rather than heat, I would probably go for just 1 teaspoon or maybe even less. Interestingly, lots of kids, when they cook this at school, they say they don't like spicy food, and when they taste the dal, they quite like it. So I think it's worth trying a little bit of spice. We just realised that I said 2 teaspoons of each, but I'm making a double recipe. So if you're only making the single recipe, 400 grams of lentils, and you don't like it too spicy, I would suggest half a teaspoon or less of chili flakes. Now this is looking ready to roll, so I'm going to put my chili in. And then the turmeric. So turmeric is what gives this dish its lovely colour, and it's so good for you. And now we'll fry the spices off just for a minute or so. You want to activate the spices before you put anything else into the pot. Yum. Has a beautiful yellow colour. Now I'm going to put my lentils in. They're well drained now. Whoop. And I'll stir them through the onion and the spices. Again, only about a minute. And then I'm going to put 2 tins of diced tomatoes in. Stir that through. Turn the heat down a little bit. And then we'll add stock. So I don't have a jug that's big enough to measure out the amount of stock I need. So I'm just going to put hot water in and then I'll add the stock powder. So tonight I need 2 litres, but if you're doing the regular recipe, you only need 1. And now for every 2 cups, so for every half litre, I'm going to add a heap teaspoon. So again, if you're making the regular recipe, just 2, but with my doubling, I'm putting in 4. Okay, so you can bring this up to the boil, and then once it's boiling, we shall turn it down to a low simmer and put the lid on. I think we'll cook it for probably about 25 minutes, but I shall again let you know when it's ready. I have in here some coriander that I've washed twice, and I have spun it, but just to make sure it's nice and dry. I'm going to really roughly chop this, because as we stir it through the dal, it will kind of wilt, so it doesn't really matter how big it is. So that looks good. Now I'm just going to take it over and stir it through the dal, and then I'm going to bring the dal back so you can see what it looks like. So I've just dumped it in the top of the pot and brought the pot over, and now I'm stirring it through the dal. So the dal cooked for about 22 minutes. I like to cook it until the cellulose wall of the lentil has broken down. So you can see, as you're cooking it, it kind of looks like lentil soup, and it continues to look like lentil soup, and then all of a sudden the lentils are not visible anymore, and it kind of becomes a bit more mushy, and that's when the flavour really comes out and it's delicious. So I'm going to serve this up now, first with some rice. This is brown basmati, so you probably don't want too much because it's quite filling, but it has lots of flavour. This is probably not the best spoon for serving. One moment. Some dal on top. The colours are awesome. I should put this back over here. Maybe some papadams on the side, and I like to have mine with a nice dollop of natural yogurt. So here's tonight's recipe: red lentil dal, very delicious. Please try cooking it at home, and if you do, pop a photo up on the Learn at Home page. This is a vegan dish, so if you wanted to have some yogurt on the top, I recommend coconut yogurt. Would taste really nice with this. Enjoy your week, and I will see you next week. See you later.